Hello, dear friends. I'm your host, Nova Nightwood. And if you found your way here tonight, then perhaps you've already heard the signal. For years, I've collected strange things, forgotten stories, unexplained events, whispers that linger just beyond the edge of reason. But every so often, someone hears a voice on an empty road, or someone discovers a place that shouldn't exist, and that is where our story begins. Welcome to Nova Nightwood's Obscura Archive, a collection of curious tales, unsettling encounters, and strange broadcasts gathered from the far side of midnight. Together, we'll explore forgotten places, impossible coincidences, and the shadows that seem to move when no one is looking. Some mysteries have explanations, others, well, not all doors are meant to be opened. Tonight, I'd like to share something special with you. A preview from the very first story ever written for the archive. The story that started everything. File 001, The Weight of Silence. Long before there was an archive, before there were case files, broadcasts, or midnight investigations, there was simply a question. What happens when the past refuses to stay buried? The answer became this story, and soon you'll hear a glimpse of it for yourself. This fall, the doors of the archive will open officially, and you'll finally discover what happens beyond the moments you're about to hear. Until then, I invite you to join us. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow along on Instagram for updates, previews, behind-the-scenes discoveries, and future transmissions from the archive. There are many more files waiting to be uncovered, many more mysteries waiting in the dark. But for tonight, let's begin where it all started. This is File 001, The Weight of Silence.
Thomas Whitlock sat alone, bathed in the uneasy flicker of a single lamp. The room smelled faintly of dust and something old, like a closed box recently opened. Just enough glow to make him feel secure, yet dim enough to let shadows linger where light couldn't quite reach. It was autumn, 1989. Rain whispered insistently against the windows, each tap a reminder that the world beyond was dark and uncertain. On nights like this, every shadow had a story. Thomas turned the unlabeled VHS tape over slowly in his hands, its plain surface reflecting nothing but mystery. It had arrived that afternoon, innocent and anonymous. No return address, no explanation. His buddy Eric occasionally played pranks, but Eric lacked this kind of creativity. Curiosity tightened its grip. With a mechanical click, Thomas slid the tape into his VCR and pressed play. The screen flickered to life, revealing grainy handheld footage shot secretly from behind a parked car. Thomas's breath caught sharply. He recognized the scene instantly. The hardware store across town. A figure stepped out, jacket familiar, the slight limp unmistakable. It was him. The timestamp flashed, stark and accusing. Yesterday, 5:17 p.m. He thought of the light bulbs still sitting on his kitchen counter, the very ones he'd purchased at exactly that time. But who had filmed this, and why? The camera trailed him silently, hiding its operator, following at angles too low and too close for comfort. There was no narration, just the dull hum of traffic, and beneath it, a faint, unsettling sound. Breathing. Thomas's heart thumped, rapid and uneven. The tape abruptly ended in static as his car drove away. Frozen, Thomas stared into the now empty screen, a chill crawling along his spine. He felt eyes on him, unseen but piercing. His gaze darted nervously to the window, peering through blinds into the rain-drenched darkness. The street lay still, puddles trembling under the weight of rain, but nothing moved. Yet the sense of being watched lingered. Sleep felt impossible. Anxiety gnawed at every nerve. As he finally lay down, the image replayed relentlessly behind closed eyelids, himself unaware, vulnerable. A cold thought crept into his mind as he reached to extinguish the lamp. If someone had watched him before, they could easily do it again. How could he have been so sloppy? Morning bled into the day beneath a sky swollen and gray, weeping softly against the window panes. Thomas stumbled through the hours blurred by exhaustion, every sound amplified, every shadow sharpened, clawing at the edges of his nerves. By evening, the persistent ache behind his eyes had burrowed deeper, sinking into a deep sense of dread. Returning home to Sycamore Street, he hesitated at his door. Something was off. The air inside felt heavy, as if disturbed. His gaze froze on the coffee table. Beside the untouched mail lay another VHS tape, perfectly centered, chillingly deliberate. Thomas's pulse hammered violently. He was certain, absolutely certain, he'd left nothing there that morning. Someone had been inside his home. Fear tightening his gut, he seized the fireplace poker, slick palms gripping the cold iron. He searched methodically, closets, showers, beneath beds. Empty, silent. The tape mocked him, unlabeled and patient. Outside, thunder murmured softly, growing louder, drawing nearer. Thomas sank into the chair before the television, hand trembling as he gently pushed the tape into the VCR. It clicked softly, whirring to life. Static whispered across the screen, shifting and flickering before resolving into an image. His living room, last night. The view was low, half hidden, peering from the hallway leading to his bedroom. Someone wasn't just filming, they were hiding. He watched himself on screen, seated exactly where he was now, eyes fixed anxiously on the flickering TV. He saw his past self pause, glance nervously around, unaware of the lurking observer. The camera trembled slightly, betraying the operator's tense breath. Past Thomas rose, heading toward the front door. The hidden camera jerked subtly back, pressing deeper into shadows. Thomas felt a chill cascade down his spine. He'd passed inches from whoever was holding it. The tape ended abruptly, the camera pivoting slowly toward the bedroom door before snapping into static. Thomas sat frozen, breath short, fingers clawing the armrests. Should he call the police? But what would he say? Someone broke in to film me watching television? Still, trembling, he reached for the phone, lifting it shakily to his ear. Silence, just dead static. Damn it, he whispered, jiggling the cord. The storm must have cut the line. Paranoia clawed at his chest, isolating him completely. He considered calling Eric, his closest friend, but how would that conversation go? Rain drummed steadily on the window, whispering secrets he couldn't decipher. Anger surged through him. No more hiding. Tonight, he'd be ready.
Well, night owls, that's where we'll leave tonight's file. For now, you've heard only a fragment of The Weight of Silence, the first story ever recovered by the archive, and the mystery that started this entire journey. The rest of the file remains sealed, at least until fall 2026. That's when the doors of Nova Nightwood's Obscura Archive officially open, and you'll finally discover what was waiting at the end of that lonely road. Until then, the signal will remain active. There are more transmissions to come, more glimpses into the archive, more strange places hidden beyond the tree line, and perhaps a few clues about what's waiting inside. If you'd like to know when the next transmission arrives, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and follow the archive on Instagram. Every new listener helps keep the signal alive. And if you know someone who still enjoys a good scary story on a dark night, consider sharing the archive with them. The best mysteries were never meant to be experienced alone. And for those of you who found us early, thank you. You're here at the very beginning, before the files are opened, before the stories spread, before the rest of the world hears the signal. So, Until next time, keep your lantern lit, keep your radio tuned, and should you find yourself traveling an empty road after midnight, pay attention to the silence, because sometimes it's listening too. For now, dear friends, this is Nova Nightwood, signing off from the archive.